The Willamette Valley of Oregon, just south of Portland, is famous the world over for the quality of wines produced here. And something else world-class in the town of McMinnville, the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. It was founded by former Air Force Captain Michael King Smith and his father Delford Smith, who was the chairman of Evergreen International Aviation with headquarters here in McMinnville. There are over 150 aircraft, rockets, and space-related craft spread through two large buildings. It's a mix of authentic and detailed replicas representing the history of flight. The pride of the collection and the biggest draw for visitors is to see the largest wooden airplane in the world and one of the largest planes ever built. Industrialist and aviator Howard Hughes H-4 Hercules transport plane, known commonly as the Spruce Goose. It was conceived during World War II to carry hundreds of troops and supplies across the Atlantic to avoid marauding German submarines. But it took 4 years to design and build and wasn't finished until 1947, 2 years after the war had ended. Its one flight was in November 1947 at Long Beach, California. It flew only 1 mile, lasting barely a minute in the air. The scale of the plane is mind-boggling. There are 8 3,000 horsepower engines, and the wingspan is wider than a football field. And a normal-sized man could stand up inside the wing. In fact, during the plane's one flight, engineers were stationed inside the wings to monitor the engines. For an extra fee, you can tour the spacious flight deck. It's well worth the price to see all the instrumentation needed to fly this massive plane and actually sit in Howard Hughes' pilot seat. For airplane buffs, it's quite a thrill. But there's much more in this excellent museum. Docents help interpret and answer visitors' questions as they gaze upon all manner of craft, such as this replica of the Wright brothers' first plane. There are many military planes from the U.S. and around the world that flew in combat. There are examples of commercial aircraft, such as this 1928 Ford Trimotor repainted in the colors of Evergreen Air. Civilian aircraft, including stunt planes and racers. And many helicopters are included in the collection. In a separate building is the Evergreen Space Museum, the history of rocketry with examples such as this German V-2 rocket from World War II, a replica X-15 test plane that went faster and higher than any aircraft before it, and one of the last SR-71 Blackbird spy planes to fly on its secret missions. Manned spaceflight is well represented in the exhibit with NASA's 3 space capsules. First, Mercury, then Gemini, and finally Apollo, including replicas of the lunar lander, and moon buggy that gave the astronauts the ability to travel far away from the lander. One of the many flight simulators available to visitors is actually trying your hand at landing on the moon. There's no turning back. There is so much to see and do at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. A full day spent here would not be too long.